What's going on, guys? MariK here, back with another Dragon Ball Super video. You guys asked me my opinions on the leaders in Dragon Ball Super, and we've already gone over the leaders in both blue and black. And today we're going to be taking a look at a color that, honestly, when the game first started, was my least favorite color because it was all about Frieza and the Frieza force, the Frieza's army, what have you. But I finally started to appreciate yellow once set 3 came around and we got Bardock and Apes, and then yellow has just consistently given me more and more cards that I really, really enjoy, and it's actually almost become my favorite color to play besides my green Android stuff. So, today we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 generic yellow leaders. Number 5 is going to be Broly the Awakened Threat. This card, granted, I still think this is a good card, and that's why it's on this list, because it just has potential. First of all, it's a yellow Frieza's army, so if you wanted to be that guy to run the one of Cold Bloodlust until they bring it back to 4, but it's not a terrible card, and once per turn you can put a card in rest mode so you can KO it. Once per turn you can switch the leader back to active mode. Before the errata, this card was, so much better. But even so, being able to switch your leader back, or being able to switch a Broly card if you run one, is still not a bad card. There's a lot of other yellow leaders that I wanted to include in this list. This ended up being the one. I was going to put the blue-yellow Kefla leader in the 5th slot instead of the Broly leader, but overall I felt it just wasn't generic enough. I mean, I realized with the errata this targets Broly BRs, but since you can just switch the leader as well, it's kind of a little more generic, I guess. Also, since this card gets to draw when he attacks, and it's not once per turn, you can choose for him to be the card you switch back to active mode, attack again, draw again. So overall, I think it's still a good yellow card, and Broly BR is just, overall, it's a fun archetype to play. So if you wanted to play it with the leader, you could, but I think the leader's still okay on his own. Number 4! Toppo, Candidate of Destruction. This one, I thought about putting a little higher up on the list because overall it's a good leader. It's a very generic leader. Doesn't require you to do anything except for run a Unison card, which I think for the most part most people are running at least one playset of Unison cards in their deck. Some are running like 3 and 3, some are running 2 and 4, but for the most part everybody's running Unison cards. And when you have a Unison in play, it has to be specified 2 cost, of course, but each player can only play 1 battle card for the turn. I feel like the reason why I put that so low on the list is, while I feel like it's better than Broly because Broly's errata kind of mitigated how good the card was, Toppo is just good all around, but slows the game down, which is not a bad thing. But for the most part, as long as you have that yellow Unison in play and you keep it alive, you're going to limit what your opponent plays. It's going to limit what you play too, but you can kind of control and keep your opponent from swarming you so much, and it makes it easier to deal with what they're playing on a turn-by-turn basis. Because of how it limits how many cards you can play, I feel it's more of a defensive leader. It's still kind of a control leader, but it doesn't give you the offensive presence that I personally like in a leader, and that I think is what makes a leader a little bit more competitive, I guess you could say. I know a lot of people are going to be upset Toppo is in 4th place, but I mean, at least I was smart enough to put him on the list, right? Number 3! Super Saiyan God Son Goku's Surge of Divinity. Now, whether you want to consider this a red leader or a yellow leader, that's up for debate, because he's actually both. I like this leader because, one, on the unawakened side, You get to draw 2 cards. You have to pitch 1, but you can get rid of cards that aren't going to help you. And getting to dig a little deeper into the deck really helps you get the cards that you need to make your plays. The Awakened side, even though it got an errata, to me, and I guess to everybody else, the Piccolo leader was a better Surge leader than this one. I believe Piccolo Surge was getting seen a lot more than the Goku was before they both got errated. However, while the Piccolo leader, his errata was a lot worse than this one, whereas this one, the card says, activate main battle, if your life is 5 or less, you choose a card, blah, blah, you can do one of the abilities. Now it's errated, changed to during your turn, which I feel is not so much an errata as errata is a correction, but whereas with Piccolo, they thought, oh man, getting that extra draw, that's too much. This is more just kind of like, this is how it was intended. With Piccolo, they didn't really think that extra draw was going to be that big a deal. With the Goku, on the other hand, being able to do activate battle for that ability and give him 10,000 power for the turn, make him a 25,000 power leader, there's no fucking way they intended that. Getting to choose all your opponent's battle cards in your own barrier and negating their skills, that's also good, and that would also be good on your opponent's turn, but I feel like that would be a little bit too broken, and that's why they made the changes they made. So I don't hold it against Bandai for that errata, but I still feel this is a solid leader. 25,000 crit is very, very strong, and then just throw a Chompa in there. 35,000 double strike crit. There you go. There's some really aggressive pressure. It's yellow. You get some control with it. It's just I feel like it's enough yellow control by being able to negate all their skills and giving you enough aggro to go along with it to be less of a passive leader, which to me, I feel like the passive leaders are the ones that just don't give you enough in the long run to really benefit choosing them. I don't really know how to say what I'm thinking, but I know what I'm thinking, and hopefully you guys can decipher my idiocy. Number 2! Cell Perfection Surpassed. I really wanted to put this at number 1. I really did. Because I feel like this is one of the best leaders in the game still. Is it the best? Nah. Maybe not. But definitely one of the... If you say that this leader is not one of the better leaders, I don't know. I don't know how to talk to you. I mean, there were so many people that just shit on this leader when he was released, and why? On the front side, you get to look at top 5 cards of your deck and just add a card to your hand. Doesn't matter what it is. And because it doesn't matter what it is, you don't have to reveal it to your opponent. And then you discard a card. Sure, okay, get rid of a card you don't really need, but you can add any card from those top 5. That's a pretty big deal. Then, his Awakened abilities give you just so much utility. The first one, until your next main phase, all your opponent's cards are put in rest mode. So, if they don't have anything out, or they're going to try and make a play, you basically can shut them down for 2 turns. And that gives you free reign to make your plays and, try and go in for the kill. The second one's not terrible either. You get to KO a battle card and then choose a card in your opponent's hand and discard it. So it gives a little bit of hand destruction with control, with a little bit of board destruction as well. But because of the fact that you can choose a card from the top 5 cards of your deck, and you can shut down 2 turns of them playing battle cards, easily makes this one of my favorite leaders in the game. And really, I wanted it to be number 1, but I just felt it couldn't. I felt it couldn't compete with the real number 1. Number 1! Super Saiyan Gotenks display of mastery. Obviously, I'm sure most of you probably agree with this, and a lot of you probably figured it out, especially when we got to number 2, and number 2 wasn't Gotenks, because this leader is phenomenal. When you attack, add a card and draw, so you can help yourself awaken, you get your +2, and if your opponent has 1 or more energy when they activate an extra card, you draw a card. 1 or more energy. So chances are you're going to draw a card. And that's because even though that's once per turn, it's not once during your turn. So if they play one on their turn, you draw a card. If they play a counter on your turn, you draw a card. The Awakened side, even better. Because once you do that, you get to switch one of their battle cards to rest mode. So you draw your card and switch something to rest mode. Which just is so detrimental in this game to be able to just do stuff like that, to get that kind of advantage. And while his other auto is not really a generic ability, the Union Fusion, he gets 5,000 and critical for the turn, I don't feel that's necessary. That's not what makes this leader good. I've seen people talking about running Great Apes with Gotenks. There ain't no Great Apes that are Union Fusion. You are not going to see no Great Apes doing the Fusion dance. It's not happening. But it's still just a solid, good yellow leader that you can just run with Great Apes. And this leader just has so much utility that I feel like he just generates enough advantage to warrant being played even over the Cell Surge leader. And honestly, I can't see a better yellow card in the number 1 slot. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this video. Let me know what you guys think. If you agree with our list, I'm sure there's going to be some discrepancies on what should and shouldn't be on the list. I did try to find some stuff, and there were other yellow leaders I'm like, I think this is a good leader. But it hasn't seen play, hasn't been represented, and I'm sure a lot of people would disagree with those choices. So I tried to make the best choices that overall just seemed competitive. So I'm pretty sure having Cell Surge, having Toppo, having Gotenks, those 3, in whichever order you think they should be in, all 3 of those should definitely be in the top 5 for yellow leaders. But let me know what you guys think. What would be your number 1 yellow leader? Would it be Gotenks or would it be something else? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. With that, we're going to go ahead and get the frick out of here, and we'll see you guys in the next video.